the podcast, if you follow these podcasts, you know I only interview exceptional people. And today I've got somebody exceptional, a real thought leader in the space, opening practices and creating something so beautiful. So I'm Garry Kousoulou. I'm going to really proudly introduce you to Vic, who watch this space. He's such an innovator in our space. Vic, good morning.
Good morning to you. Good morning. Thank you for having me on your show.
You're very welcome. I'm excited about talking about what you've done in Fishguard, what you've done with some of the amazing practices, because you've created an experience. It's called concept eye care for a reason. So maybe it's always worth starting a story at the beginning. What got you into optics?
Quite by accident, really. So, like a lot of people, I fell into optometry. I was a prospective medical student when I first started off. Things didn't quite work out for me. And so I had the opportunity of doing dentistry at Cardiff or optometry at Bradford, and the rest is history.
You're a very creative human being. And
Well,
where's
yeah.
that creativity come from? The way you transform practices is it's jaw-dropping. And I don't think enough people in optics recognize you for that you really have this concept of the experience. And I love that. Where's the creativity come from?
Where does it come from? Sorry, I'm being bombarded with messages as we speak.
You're a busy guy. How many practices have you got?
Well, it's not so much about a number, Gary. Where does the creativity come from? It comes from imagination, and the fact that I'm the master of my own destiny. You know, um, and I consider myself to be a bit of a Byronic hero, mad, bad, and dangerous to know, and I like to take a risk. So that creativity is imbued within my team. I've got some very, very good people working alongside me who also are inculcated into that culture of creativity and imagination. And that is where we see ourselves um, having an impact within the optometric world. You know,
Mm.
so it's not just about revenue and EBITDA. Those are important. They're important metrics. But the thing that sort of fuels my soul, if you like, is the aesthetics, making things look beautiful. And we're not the only ones doing that. We've also, if you look at Apple Inc., their whole mantra is, to be design led. They want to look pretty. Yeah. But
Even on the inside, looking pretty with Apple. I love Steve Jobs. I've watched his career. If you're a fan of Steve Jobs, he said that you fill the shop floor with enthusiasts that are excited about the product, you have such a dedicated culture, and time doesn't really permit how you've created that culture amongst your staff, that they work so hard, they're so dedicated,
they're
they want
amazing.
to provide the best.
They, they,
How have you done it?
there's no magic formula. We have an amazing group of people, and the unifying glue, if you like, that culture is about being able to express freely. And what we don't do is hinder or hamper somebody's ideas. Ideas are golden, Gary. Okay. It may be that we can't run with a certain idea at that particular time, but we will put it in our ideas box. We will ensure that at the right time we can run with that idea.
If you're watching this like me and you're thinking that sounds so different to optics, you're right. We tend to not ruffle feathers or be different. And Vic, what you're doing, I have to compliment you on what you're doing is so brave. It was different to the rest of the high street. It's not a multiple. It's very much based, and I make no secret, I love independence. And when you do take a new practice, you keep it to its ethos of where it started. And I love that about you.
Yeah, yes, in the beginning, I think whenever you take over a practice, inevitably there is going to be a difference in culture. There's going to be a difference in the way of doing things. What we need to ensure right at the offset is that there isn't incompatibility. So we have to spell out our vision. And to some people, it's alien. When we talk about creativity and we talk about design, but in those famous words, remember, everything that is real was imagined first. And if you know that reference, the Velveteen Rabbit, um, we strongly, strongly believe that if we're going to take over a practice, can we make it better? Can we make that wheel go slightly faster? And what do I mean by that? Again, not so much in terms of revenue and EBITDA, but in terms of can we enhance the aesthetic? Can we be tech savvy? And can we be pioneers? That's where we want to be.
You've invested heavily in rodent stock. That's brave. I interviewed the rodent stock rep actually the other day, and I said to him, "Never change somebody out of rodent stock." Was that a choice that you made that they were an easy company to deal with? Because I'm wearing a rodent stock lens now, and they were amazing.
Well, that's an interesting story. About 3 or 4 years ago, I bumped into the rodent stock GM, Peter Travers, who I'm a great admirer of, by the way. And in the usual lens space, they said, "Look, come to rodent stock." And at that time, I was apprehensive. I was nervous.
Mm.
We had, well, less than 3% of market share. They were private equity backed, and Essilor, the huge giants, were hoovering up the rest of the space. But true to the essence of who I am, a little bit dangerous. I thought, well, hang on a second. Let's listen to this guy. Let's see what he's about. And they convinced me and they persuaded me to look at their technology, their biometric lens designs, the DNI scanner, for looking at natural distortions in sight. And no other company had this technology. So we moved from from a large lens company that were premium to a very little known company within the UK. And at the time, my nearest, my trusted, were calling me to say, "Vic, what's going on? Have you lost it?" You know,
I think it's a great decision.
why are we doing this? But thankfully, we had a strategy of onboarding our team. We got everybody on the right page. We introduced them to the technology at our own cost. We hired out conference rooms and hotels across the country to bring our teams on board with it. And slowly the results.
Well, I'm a lens geek, so like, I know Rodenstock's technology is great, and not everyone's actual length is 23 millimeters. So I'm a big plus for that. Our time is limited. You are the busiest person I've interviewed. You're in charge of a big chain of groups together, and where I really wanted to go is your thoughts on where Optics UK is going. Uh, your thoughts on where you feel the future's going.
Garry, I'm not too busy for you. All right. And whilst we're on, this is a morning call and I'm being bombarded with calls, I'm quite enjoying this. And I like to do things that I enjoy. So where is optics going? Well, the huge buzzword is AI, isn't it? AI is everywhere. Is refraction going to be automated? And the answer is yes, we can do that now. Even binocular refraction can be done very well by optometers and autorefractors very, very easily. Clinically, and in terms of dispensing, well, remember, it's anachronistic to our times. Glasses have been around since the 13th century. So we really haven't progressed that much. Okay, contact lenses as an alternative, but in terms of spectacle lens technology, yeah, arguably, I don't think we have advanced as much. All right. So I do see that I see there'll be hybrid lens correction devices, but compatible with being able to book appointments in your eyewear. or being able to
So
watch video.
what you're saying,
Yeah,
to others might seem crazy, but I was in Munich in January.
sure.
I was at a stand. I was in the innovation stand, and next to me was a company doing refraction over Zoom. And I was really skeptical, and it talks you through it. So it says cover your right eye. So I deliberately covered my left eye. It said no, you've covered the wrong eye. You have to cover the right eye, and it gave me a refraction. It's already there. We know with Meta that they're doing from their glasses. You can literally change the world from. So what you're saying is absolutely right. I think I do see those innovations happening. What do you think? Let me ask you a tricky question. If you had a nephew or a niece or a child and they wanted to go into optometry now as an optometrist, would you steer them away from that?
No, not at all. I think, look, I think there is definitely people are definitely scared about their jobs and their professions with the emergence of AI, and our profession is not immune to it. But I think also, just a bit like the agricultural revolution or the industrial revolution, whilst we may not have as many farmers anymore, or we may not be ploughing fields in with horse with a cow or anything like that, people will find their own space, and optometry is not in isolation. So I think certainly more in terms of interpretation, certainly in terms of ideas, and that's where I feel AI gets stuck. AI, whilst it's very good at amalgamating data and making use of that data, it's not good at original thought. And I think for that very reason, we will still need human beings. And we're that point of, we're the face of empathy, aren't we? So patients still need to be cancelled. They still need somebody with compassion to talk to them. And I think that's at this moment in time, I think that's where
When AI can get empathy, we're in big trouble. That today the news came out that unemployment's up. In optics, we still need high caliber people, which is what shocks me. We need great communicators. We need people that can empathize. And if you're watching this and you're fed up with where you're working, I look out for concept. They're really like I'm planning on doing a little
nice.
QR code, and the QR code can go to vacancies, because as an individual you can choose to work for a chain and that will suit some people. You can choose to work for an independent, and I've always been passionate about work should be fun and expressive, and just because the computer doesn't say something. And I think that you're onto something, Vic. Wrapping things up, because you gave me a window. How do you see the high street changing? And can you see as many opticians on the high street? Do you think we're going to go? Because it's a very small percentage of people buy online. People still need to try on frames, unlike, because there's such a bespoke thing. It's not like buying a pair of jeans you can send back. How do you see the high street changing?
It's a really interesting one. If I could look into my crystal ball, I would say that whilst you do need to try on glasses, there's that tile element. You also see Amazon that's burgeoning. So people's choices are changing. Yeah, they are ordering online, and there's no getting away from that. And that market can only increase.
Hmm.
I feel there's going to be more automation. I mean, whilst we occupy the independent space, we're not truly independent by nature of the fact that we have a group of practices. So I suppose we're in that hybrid or that middle space. Um, but there are consolidators in the market, yes, and it's sad, but those small independents that we've grown to love are being vacuumed. Yeah, so we will see, I feel, larger chains getting larger and larger, and the consolidators in the short to medium term. But in the long term, processes are going to be automated. Absolutely.
That is fair enough. Where is the future for concept? Where can you see yourself in 5 years' time? Are you going global? Are you going out of the UK? Are you concentrating further down south?
No, we don't. So look, we don't have. So we do have a national spread at this moment in time. We have a concept that's very much experimental with cinema style consulting rooms that are patient education portals that have been a huge success. We're not great at marketing. We're not great about shouting out about what we do, but we do notice, I mean, it's more than just notice, our data shows that patients who come and see us keep coming and they keep recommending patients to come and see us. So that's a unique feature of Concept Eye Clinic. You know, the James Bond type cinematic rooms where the floors open and close, cinema style
It's
consultations
incredible.
to show different scans. But but look, that's more of a passion that's translated into a good business outcome for us. And that's essentially our marketing. Can we be the best of the best? And I'm not worried about anyone else. I'm not competing with anyone else. I'm just competing with myself. How far can I keep pushing myself?
Wow. You show all the traits of an overachiever. I feel very lucky that you're our who's who celebrity in this
Oh,
year's
I don't know
book.
about
You
that.
are, because we're very lucky. You don't often take interviews like this. So I'm really lucky. We're lucky to be watching this. Watch out for this man. Hope you've enjoyed the interview. And if you have and you're watching this, please make a comment down below. I'm sure Vic will find time to answer that. And if you find yourself employed by him, testament, I don't think you can go wrong.
Well, we work together with people as opposed to having that sort of hierarchy. We're on this journey together.
Amazing. This has been such a lovely interview. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Gary. Really enjoyed it.
For sure. Ta-da!